what actually happens in early recovery? And I know a lot of people have that question on their minds. Like, am I going to get better right away? Am I going to be able to see my family again? Am I going to be able to do this again or that again? And your mind just raced constantly, especially early on. Like, you're thinking to yourself, how am I going to stay clean, right? Or even before that is, how am I going to get clean? How am I going to take this step that I need to take to actually get help? And what is that going to feel like? Now, I will say this. A lot of drug addicts, a lot of alcoholics tend to avoid pain more than anything, right? We are way more drawn to not be in pain than to be in pain. It's a human thing, right? We want to be, we don't want to feel bad. We want to, again, avoid pain in any way possible. So we will do whatever it is that we have to do in order to not be in pain, right? And for addicts, that means that you will just continue using, you will continue drinking, you will continue doing what you're doing because you don't want to feel bad. You don't want to feel pain. You don't want to be suffering. And that is the loop. That's literally the feedback loop that goes on and on and on, and it never stops until you're able to make that decision where you're saying, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I can't continue living like this. So the questions that people have that are thinking about getting sober, getting clean, especially early on, is, well, what is it going to feel like? What is my body going to feel like? How long am I going to be in withdrawal for? That's a great question, and that's what I want to tackle in this video. And here's the thing. I am not a doctor. I'm not an expert in this. All I have is my personal experience and the experience of hundreds of other addicts that I've talked to and heard speak, probably thousands at this point, over the past 16 and a half years. And the question, when will I feel better, or how long will it take for me to feel better, is going to vary very widely. There is no one clear-cut answer. I'm sorry. I wish there was, some math equation that you could, maybe there is, but I don't think there is. But there's just no clear-cut answer for that. So many people go through so many different situations where a lot of it depends on how long you've been using the drug or the alcohol, how many years you've been doing it. If you've been drinking for 40 years every single day, coming off of alcohol as someone who has, continued to put poison in their body for that long, your initial phase of discomfort, of being sick, of not feeling good, is going to be substantially longer than someone that says maybe they've I shouldn't say just been, but maybe they have been using for a year or 2 years, right? So the physical withdrawal symptoms, they will vary very widely. It's not a clear-cut answer. For me personally, when I got clean, I had to go to a rehab, and I was on opiates. So when I was coming off opiates, what they do, and I don't know what they do anymore. I'm sure they probably do something like this, but it's kind of like a substitute. So I was on Suboxone pretty much the entire time I was in the rehab facility, and I had the option to continue taking it when I got out, but I really didn't want to do that because I had already done that before. I had already tried the substitute and then started abusing the Suboxone and then selling that and trying to get more, right? So I've already done that. So I thought to myself, I just got to get off this shit. I can't I can't continue to replace the drugs because it's not going to work. So when I left that rehab for the second time in the span of 6 months, actually less than that, it was 5 months, I was physically sick still. Like I had experienced opiate withdrawal before, and it's horrible. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible feeling. I never wish anyone to go through it. So when I left, I actually still felt bad physically. And what I did at that time, I got home and I was back in the real world, and, I started taking muscle relaxers from my dad. I was sneaking them from him. And I did that for about a few days, maybe like 2, 3, maybe 4 days, something like that. And I was like, I can't do this. I got to get off of everything. So I did that. And then my withdrawal symptoms kept going, and they lasted for months. So I don't know what your process is going to be like. I wish I had that answer, but it can be months. It could be a month. It could be a year. Even in some crazy cases, it could be multiples of years. There's just simply not one, again, clear-cut answer for that. And the physical aspect of it, here's what I can think back now, and I say to myself, well, for years I was taking this substance, so I never really got sick. Like I only ever got dope sick. I never got a flu. I never had bronchitis, or, maybe sometimes I would have stomach issues, but like nothing crazy. And when I stopped taking the drugs for an extended period of time, those first few months, and I was still dealing with those withdrawal symptoms, I started to get sick, right? Like my body was achy a lot, and my stomach just was always felt unsettled, because for years I was putting a substance in my body, and it was masking any kind of other symptom that I had that was out there. So when you continue to do that over and over, and then you stop that drug or you stop drinking alcohol, things change. Your life changes. But I didn't realize what was going to happen. I had no idea what that actually was going to look like. I had nothing to compare it to because I'd never experienced it before. So I had to rely on other people's experience as well. And they're like, yeah, I've been through what you're going through. I've felt that pain as well. And the camaraderie of listening to other recovering people share, like, yeah, I've felt that before too. I completely understand, where you're coming from. Everything you're saying makes sense. Another thing on the physical side for me was that I was getting a lot of nosebleeds, just because of the drugs I was doing and how I was using them. So I got nosebleeds for like a lot the first year, and maybe even a little bit more than that. And eventually they went away. But I was worried. I was like, when is this going to stop? And look, I didn't go to the doctor. I never went and saw a doctor and asked them what I can do, or if there's anything seriously wrong. I would suggest that if you're in the early recovery process, or you're considering stopping and you want to know, I would consider very strongly to see a doctor, to help you through those early physical symptoms. I'm not going to be able to help you with the mental side of it, but the physical symptoms, that's a really, really smart thing to do. I didn't even have anyone to tell me that. I had nobody suggested, like, hey, why don't you go see a doctor and get checked out, like see how you're doing. How's your blood pressure? How's your oxygen level? You know, get an EKG done, like all these things that I do now in life, you know, being in my almost late 30s. But looking back, I had never done that. That was not something I did. I just went through the pain, you know, like I just dealt with it. That discomfort, I would say, lasted a long time. The discomfort, the physical discomfort that I was in lasted a long time in early recovery. And there's no magic pill that's going to help you get through it. There isn't. Actually, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't even say that, because maybe there is. You know, it's been a long time. It's been almost 17 years since, you know, since I've gone through that. So maybe there is something now that can help you that simply wasn't there for me. I know a lot has changed, but the physical ailments, everything comes back, and you just start feeling what you weren't feeling before. That's like the best way to describe it. You're masking, we were masking, I was masking, you were masking all the physical discomfort that you might have been in with a substance for an extended period of time. So everything comes back tenfold, right? And you start thinking again, like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? Will this ever end? I cannot do this. I can't, you know, yes, you can. I want to say that to you. You might be thinking to yourself, I can't do it. I can't deal with that physical pain, because that physical pain is what led me to use in the first place. You know, there's a lot of people that are in that situation, especially those who have a chronic illness, or, you know, or chronic pain where opiates were suggested, and then you get hooked on opiates and then coming off them. It's like, I don't understand what that's like, because I personally never been through it. I will say that I've known people that have gone through it, and pain management is an important thing that you have to take care of, and something that you really have to seek out. And, you know, because once you come off, if you still have that chronic pain, you have to manage that somehow. You can't just think like, oh, I'm not taking opiates anymore, I'm going to be okay. There's always something that you can do. Again, I don't have personal experience in that other than just hearing other people. But when it comes to understanding your physical body, and you thinking to yourself, I just don't know if I can do it, I want to tell you, yes, you can. You absolutely can get through this. It is temporary. In most cases, right? In most cases, the physical ailments that you go through will be temporary. You will eventually start feeling better. You will. That's the process. You have to go through the process in order to get to a space where you're feeling better. You have to go through temporary suffering in order to feel joy, to feel happiness, to feel pain-free. But you're not going to get there if you don't stop. If you continue to do what you're doing, you will continue to get what you've always got. That's how it works. If you want to be a recovering person, you have to do the hardest part, which is getting and staying sober in the early phases. You know, a lot of people relapse in this phase. I did it early on. And it is one of the most pivotal points of the recovery process. Because if you can link up with other recovering people, maybe you join one of the anonymous programs, it's completely up to you. Maybe you join another recovery program that's offered. Maybe you join a church, whatever it is for you that helps you stay sober and in that recovery process, that's what you need to do. I can't stress this enough, that if you want to get through something that's going on in your life, doing it alone will not work. It simply won't work. You can't always get you through situations. You need help. We all need help. We all need people to build us up. We all need people around us, a recovery community around us that helps us understand, like, I'm not in this alone. It's not just me. I know you've been there. Please help me. When it's 10 o'clock at night and you're trying to sleep and your head hurts and your stomach hurts and you feel like you can't do it and you're like, I gotta use. And then you pick up that phone and you call another recovering person and then they can come over and help you, right? Like, these are the things that happen in recovery. These are not the things that happen on your own. If you get sober and you're on day 21 and you have no community around you, you were just white knuckling everything, and you're going through some pain and agony, and you have nobody to call, nobody to talk to about it, that's been there, that can help you through it, you'll most likely go back to using. You're most likely going to go back to drinking, whatever you've been doing. I cannot stress it enough. It's imperative that you find a recovery community, because when you're going through that physical discomfort, and it's horrible, right? It's absolutely terrible. And I don't really wish that on anyone. I don't. I do not wish anyone to have to go through that, the pain and the agony. But I promise you, if you get through it, the other side is amazing. It is simply amazing. I'm going through something right now in my physical life, unrelated to recovery. Unrelated to using. And it's with reflux, right? I've had reflux for years now. And dealing with this has been a challenge because I've been just trying to self-medicate over the years. And now I've sought out medical help. I've seen doctors. I've got multiple tests done. And I'm on the no coffee right now and no caffeine. Like, I'm literally drinking something that has no caffeine, and I've been drinking caffeine for 20 plus years. And now I've been almost 2 weeks caffeine free for the first time in 20 plus years. And it sucks, right? And for me, for this addict, I wanted to be better yesterday. And I tell my wife, I'm like, I don't want to keep doing this. I want to go back. I miss drinking coffee. I miss it. And I'm not getting better to the degree that I want to. Like, it's not going away quick enough for me. I need instant gratification. What happened was I stopped drinking coffee probably 25 days ago. But I was still drinking tea, which had caffeine. And then my doctor's like, no, you need to cut out caffeine too. So I was like, I was very reluctant. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be in pain. I don't want to go through that pain, right? Because if you quit caffeine, you will have headaches for like the first couple weeks. People say the first 3 to 5 days, fuck that. You're going to have headaches for the first couple weeks. It's just the reality. I've been drinking caffeine for 20 plus years, almost every single day. My body started getting to a point where it's like, we need to figure this out, dude. We got to cut things out. We got to get back to baseline. We can't keep doing this. And I want it to happen yesterday. I'm tired of feeling this way. And in my head, like, I have all these tools. I have all this knowledge and experience with recovery and quitting drugs, which is substantially harder than quitting caffeine. I've quit smoking cigarettes in recovery too, which I thought would be impossible. But everything is possible. And even though I'm not getting better as quickly as I would like to, I am getting better. Slowly. And I need to say that to myself. I need to say that out loud, because I'll get into this mode of, it's not working, I'm just going to go back to doing what I've been doing. That is typical addict behavior. I need to give myself time. I need to go through this process to feel this pain in order to feel the joy on the outside. Like, that's it. That's how it works. That's how it works in early recovery, and then later in recovery, and then later in life, like you have to go through periods of getting through pain in order to feel pleasure, or not even pleasure, just to feel fucking okay. Like, I'm not trying to reach some state of never having pain, which I would love, but I don't think that's a reality, because we're always going through something. The body's always changing. So in early recovery, if you're thinking about getting clean, it is possible. You will be okay. You will be okay. Consult medical professionals to help you. Don't try and do it on your own. It is very, very difficult for you to do it on your own. It's nearly impossible. Help. Find help. Find help. Reach out to someone who's been there. Reach out to me if you need help. And I'm going to keep bringing valuable information like this. So stay tuned for the next video.